Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pav Bamber here for PSB Sports, and we've also got
Shane Watson from PSB Sports here as well.
And on the line with us, we've got Carson Jones from the USA. Carson, thank you so much for talking to PSB Sports. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. How about you?
We're doing good. It's pretty late here in the UK, so we want to say thanks a lot for talking to us. And I think Shane's going to ask you the first question, my friend.
Okay, shoot.
First of all, I wanted to ask how your most recent victory was. It was within the last few weeks. Was in Oklahoma City as well, I believe.
Yeah, it was about 2 weeks ago. It was my first fight back since the loss to Brian Rose back in August. So it was just a comeback tune-up fight. But I stopped him in the third round. So we're looking for something maybe in June. Next fight.
Okay, so how was it like? How was training for it? Did it go well, or is it just you pretty much?
I mean, I trained, but I mean, it was. We knew what it was going into the fight. But,
yeah.
It was just a tune-up fight, just to get the cobwebs off. Because I haven't fought like in 9 months, so it was just a shake, kind of get the ring rust off.
Absolutely, and also, which weight are you planning to fight at? Because obviously you fought Kell Brook at 147. Brian Rose was at 154, I believe. Rose now moved up to 160. Which weight are you hoping to fight at?
The last Rose fight was at 157, and I probably shouldn't have took that fight. I mean, took it at that weight. But I'm looking to go back down to 147 eventually.
Okay.
But my next fight will probably be maybe between 54 and 56, somewhere in there.
Between 54 and 56. Okay, fair enough. And obviously, at the moment in the UK, we've got numerous promoters over here. We've got Eddie Hearn, we've got Frank Warren, and Mick Hennessy. In the US as well, we've got Golden Boy with De La Hoya, Al Heyman, so on and so forth. Are you hoping to? Obviously you train out in the US? Are you hoping to, with numerous successful fights you've had in the UK? You fought Brook twice, Rose twice. Are you hoping to base yourself out in the UK, or are you planning to stay in the US? And if you're planning to stay in the US, with which team are you hoping to get a contract under? Are you hoping to join Al Heyman? Are you going to try and get something with De La Hoya? How's that going to work, Carson?
Well, honestly, I mean, I'm just going for the, whoever's going to give me the best deal. I'm not necessarily looking to sign with anybody.
Right.
And I guess nobody's really looking to sign me, considering, my record. But I like doing business with Eddie Hearn. We always do good business together.
Sure.
He always takes care of me when I'm over there. And truth be told, I mean, he pays me the best out of any of my fights here in the USA. He's always paid the most. So I mean, of course, I would love to come back over there and get another fight. But I'm not in the driver's seat. So
sure.
I just kind of look at my options and see what the best deal is.
Okay, fair enough. And of course, I think Carson, in the past, certain fighters I've interviewed, they've said that when they were dealing with Eddie Hearn, they had some sort of issues in dealing with him. As a fighter who came across from the US to the UK, how did you find dealing with Matchroom? I know you just said it was good, he paid you the best, but from the overall standpoint, what was it like dealing with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom throughout the whole process and the 4 fights you've had with him?
I feel like a spoiled little kid when I'm with Eddie, when I fight with Eddie Hearn.
Right.
I get everything I need, everything I want. I have no issues.
Sure.
As far as amenities, anything that I need, I have. So I have no issues. I'm not sure why I can't see him giving any other fighters issues.
Sure.
But there are certain fighters that are prima donnas. So I mean, I can see that's the only way I can see anybody having a problem here.
Fair enough.
Yeah, basically, a few more questions. Obviously, I'm quite aware of how, the amount of times you've sparred with Gennady Golovkin, as you've spoken about in other interviews before. Can you just quickly tell us what's that like? What's the experience like? Does he punch as hard as everyone says he does? And also, what's his actual boxing ring skills like? Because a lot of people just say that he's a man with a lot of power, but obviously not many people can say they've been in the ring with him before. So can you just tell us about your experiences of that as well?
Well, Gennady Golovkin, he's a total package. I mean, he showed you in his it wasn't his last fight, but his fight with David Lemieux.
Right.
He showed you that he could box, he could use the jab. I mean, he out-jabbed Lemieux the whole fight.
Mm.
So he can box too. He's a great boxer, but he also has that scary knockout power that you kind of want to stay away from. So I think he's a total package. He can box, he can punch, he can move, he can do it all. So I mean, I love Gennady, and I look up to him as one of my idols.
Sure, and of course, Gennady recently fought Dominic Wade in his previous fight, and before that he had Lemur. He's fought pretty much everyone who he's asked to fight and passed every test. And obviously, I think the main question now is, Carson, is that once Canelo knocked out Amir Khan in devastating fashion, the main talk was Oscar De La Hoya saying that he was going to call Triple G's team to organise a fight on Sunday morning. So are you aware of any updates regarding that? And also, how do you see a fight with Canelo and Triple G going? Because it's one of the most talked about fights in world boxing today.
Yeah, well, first of all, Canelo knocking out Amir Khan is not that impressive. I mean, he knocked out a 147-pounder. I mean, that was guaranteed to happen. I mean, it was just a matter of which round was going to happen. So that was no surprise to anybody. Nobody on earth was surprised at that knockout. So I mean, you're comparing a real middleweight to actually a junior welterweight. He came up from like 140 or lower. So I mean,
sure.
that wasn't that impressive. This is it's two different ball games. But as far as them fighting, I don't think it'll happen. No time soon anyway. They're gonna try to milk. They're gonna try to milk it and make it bigger. Maybe in a year, maybe 2 years. But I don't think it's gonna happen this year.
Another question I'd like to ask. Obviously, you were trained by Abel Sanchez, and as we all know, that he's a very high-profile trainer. So, what I wanted to ask you about Abel Sanchez, what's so influential about him, and are you going to be trained by him still in the near future too?
Yeah, actually, just I talked to Abel briefly the other day and told him I'm ready to come back to camp. I have a few injuries though, so I'm trying to nurse these injuries before I get into any kind of training.
Okay.
And I'm waiting on my doctor to call me back and let me know what the X-rays say. But it was a great trainer. He's more than just a trainer though. He's a teacher. There's not many. There's a lot of trainers in the sport, but there's not too many teachers. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And not just he doesn't just teach you how to box. He teaches you the business side too. He teaches you the ins and outs of boxing. So that's what also makes him great.
As you've said, Carson, your next fight, although it will be somewhere between 154 and 156, you're hoping to get back to the 147 division, which is one of the most exciting divisions in world boxing today. I know Floyd Mayweather has bowed out of the sport last year. However, there's already talk about him returning for the 50th fight. In the UK, there's constant talk of the IBF welterweight champion Kell Brook going to America to maybe fight a Vargas, a Tim Bradley, or the Amir Khan. The 147 division is hot right now, and you've even got guys like Danny Garcia, Robert Guerrero. How would you assess the world welterweight division now, as we see it?
It's the hottest division out there right now. It's the most exciting. Of course, Kell Brook, who I know very well. I met him twice. But there's other top welterweights. Keith Thurman, Sean Porter.
Yeah,
they got a fight
absolutely.
coming up. So I mean, it's a lot of hot contenders out there, and it's a very exciting division.
Absolutely. And of course, with Kell Brook, as you mentioned, you've met him, you fought him twice as well. In the UK, the fans are waiting in anticipation for Kell Brook to have that big breakthrough fight against a real credible, strong, big opponent. A guy, maybe someone like Thurman or a Porter too, or a Bradley. How do you see Kell Brook going in the rest of his career? And do you think he can become undisputed welterweight champ?
Well, he already beat Porter, so you can scratch that name off the list. I see him beating Bradley.
Sure.
I see him beating all those guys. I mean, I can't, I fought the guy twice and he beat me, so I'm not going to, sit here and say, oh, he's going to lose, to these guys. If he looks good, that makes me look good,
Fair enough.
If he goes goes out there and destroys these guys, it makes my first performance look that much better. So I mean, I'm pushing for Brook to to go out there and do his thing and become the top guy in the 147-pound division.
Oh, another question I wanted to ask you about that as well, a little bit similar to the Gennady Golovkin question. Eddie Hearn and Kell Brook claim that Kell Brook punches as hard as Saul Canelo Alvarez, if not harder. So they boast about his punching power quite a lot. Obviously, not many people can say that they felt his punching power, but you obviously trained with him twice. What was his punching power like, and is it overhyped?
Well, did you say they say he punches hard as Canelo?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've sparred Canelo, and I know it's sparring and fighting is two different things because we had 8-ounce. Me and Kell Brook were in 8-ounce gloves, and me and Canelo wore 16-ounce gloves. But I mean, if I had to say who punched harder, going off just the punch, I would say Kell Brook. But again, me and Canelo had big gloves on, so that makes a big difference. But it's not just and both of them are very accurate. So I mean, it's not just power that makes, because the accurate punches, if they land perfectly, I mean, it makes the punch so much harder. You know what I mean? So I mean, pound for pound, I would probably have to say, Canelo probably punches harder, but Kell Brook is very accurate, so he's a close second.
Sure. And of course, Carson, the Floyd Mayweather has recently filed for trademarks for TMT 50 and other 50 trademark applications as well. If he was to come back, at the moment the main talk is Mayweather v McGregor or Mayweather v Garcia. Which option do you think will be better for Floyd? And do you see him winning both of those fights if they were both to occur?
If he wants the money, he goes for McGregor, but that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. McGregor wouldn't last 2 rounds. I mean, he's not a boxer. He's not good at boxing whatsoever. So I mean, he wouldn't last at all. I mean, to me, that's like a sideshow. You know what I mean? I think the way to go, if you want people to take you seriously, he needs to fight maybe Garcia or even somebody better. Maybe even the winner of Keith Thurman and
Sean Porter,
yeah, maybe one of those guys, but definitely not McGregor. McGregor, they'll both get a nice paycheck,
right?
Because it brings MMA and boxing together. But I mean, that's it. It's a no-brainer of who wins that fight.
And obviously, when you fought Brian Rose in the first fight at York Hall, Bethnal Green, and that was for the vacant WBC, was that light middleweight title as well? International title. Obviously, you stopped him within the first round, and it was a shock. TKO, I suppose, because obviously you caught him with the big uppercut. Obviously, you going into that fight, you were probably thinking it was going to be a tough fight anyway, but obviously it was very easy in the first fight because of the first round stoppage. Was you expecting that, and was you very surprised by the outcome of that fight as well?
Say the last part one more time.
Was you very surprised about the outcome of that fight, obviously stopping him in 1 round?
Well, first of all, it wasn't an uppercut that I caught him with. It was a right hand. A punch is a punch. But no, I was surprised that it happened so fast. But I did know that if I caught him early, he would have a little bit of trouble because he obviously looks a little dry when he came out there. He looked like he didn't warm up properly in the dressing room. So, and my trainer my manager caught on to that right away. He said hop on him because he's dry. So that's what I did.
Okay, fair enough. And obviously, Carson, your fellow going out to Russia to fight Alexander Povetkin on the 21st of May. At times, I feel quite sorry for Deontay because, after he defeated Severn and his defences against Molina, Duhaupas and Spilka, I think people are still, I think hardcore boxing fans in general are still questioning Deontay Wilder due to his ability. And I think Showtime Sports also did a segment with him where he walked down New York where it was busy, and unfortunately no one recognised who Deontay was. How do you think PBC in general, Carson, can start marketing their fighters better? And also, how do you see Deontay Wilder faring against Povetkin and the rest of the heavyweight scene, including against guys like Tyson Fury in the UK?
Well, I mean, the heavyweight boxing division isn't that big right now, so I mean, that's not. I mean, only people, they go outside, they're gonna recognize Mike Tyson or guys like that. The heavyweight division is just it's just not that big right now. But I think the way what Wilder needs to do is he needs to go over there, handle his business with Povetkin, and then maybe fight a top. He fights a top guy. People have no choice but to give him credit. You know what I mean? If he fights the top guy and beats the top guy, people have no choice but to give him his due respect. So I think that's what he needs to do. As far as PBC, I mean, they're doing all they can by giving this. Well, he's not even on the free TV. He's on I guess, the cable. Either or. I mean, they're doing all they can. I mean, he needs to be. He just needs to fight that big fight and win, and he'll have the world in his hands, I guess.
Oh, another thing I wanted to say was, obviously, you've had your tune-up fight now, so you're feeling comfortable in the ring. You beat a guy who weighed a lot more than you on fight night as well, I believe. Yeah. So now you've had that tune-up fight, and you've probably shedded a bit of the ring rust. What's next for you? Is there a specific name you're targeting, or like a specific international belt or anything you're looking towards within your next fight?
Well, actually, I was leaning towards. We're already talking about one more quote-unquote tune-up fight, a little bit tougher than the last one.
Okay.
Maybe in June. It just depends on how my body's holding up because I have a few different injuries. But maybe that fight and then a bigger fight as far as the ratings go. They'll put me back in the ratings maybe in July. And that fight will most likely be at 147.
Okay then.
So I got a lot of work to do.
Okay, sounds good.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about quickly, and I'll make this the last question because it's been 17 minutes now. By the time you've retired in boxing, whenever that is you decide to call it a day, what would you like to say your biggest achievement is? What would you say is realistic for you to have achieved in the sport by the end of it?
Honestly, I want to get a world title shot, but I mean, if I have a lot of money in the bank, I'll be fine. That's just the truth because, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. I don't want to go to work after I finish boxing. So, I mean, it'd be nice to just retire, be able to take care of my kids comfortably, take care of myself comfortably, and just, chill on the beach somewhere.
Yeah. Sounds good, Carson. Sounds good.
Well, it's been great talking to you, Carson. We really appreciate you for giving us a lot of your time and answering our questions honestly and stuff. We wish you best of luck on your next fight, whenever that will be, and I hope you come through injury-free in your next camp and stuff as well. And maybe sometime when you have got your next fight organised, we could speak to you again and ask you how camping that's going.
Okay, cool. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Carson, for your time, mate.
Bye.
All the best. Thank you very much.
Please. Bye.
All right, thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.